Hi there, it's great to be with talking to my good friend John Rankin. Hi, John.
Hi, Donald.
I think we would have a little chat, John, about a couple of things, really kind of key things that I've noticed you, and I've known you quite a few years now at Ross County. The first thing was, I suppose, your drive, a little bit about your story, about your drive in your career, from when you were at Manchester United to Ross County, and then and moving from Ross County, because you have an incredible drive to get better the whole time, John. And the second thing I was wondering if we could have a chat about was how you develop your habits.
Okay, that'll be interesting. I don't know how I develop them; they just come upon me sometimes. But yeah, I'm fine with that.
Because tell us a little bit about, because I met you at Ross County, and then had you come to Ross County from Manchester United? Because I don't think a lot of people know your journey and how you came out.
Yeah, so basically what had happened was I was coming to the end of my time at Man United. I was getting to the stage where I knew I was captain of the reserve team. I knew I was struggling to get into the first team. I trained with him in occasions, and I thought it's time for me to go and play men's football. And I had a conversation with Sir Alex at the time, and he'd basically said to me, listen, there's a contract there, but it won't guarantee you to play week in, week out in the Premiership. I don't think you would be able to do that. You might be able to play at the time. It was before the Carling Cup, and the year before Man United that season, Man United had played Leicester, and it was one game and they were out. And I thought, that doesn't really suit me. It doesn't really float my boat. One game, and then that could be me for the full season. So it was probably a bold move and a brave decision for myself. And I thought, do you know what? I want to go and play week in, week out in the whatever division it is. So I took the opportunity to go elsewhere. And to be honest, Donald, I didn't realise I would find it as difficult as what I actually did. I thought, leaving Man United, I'll go and get a club. And naturally, to me, it was my dream to play in the Premier League in Scotland. So to come up the road was just obvious. And then I came up, and I can always remember going to Aberdeen. And it was Steve Patterson that was the manager, and I can remember chatting his door, and he just looked me up and down, and I could tell with a look in his face I wasn't his cup of tea. I hadn't even seen me play. And but sure as God, it came to the Friday, and Steve had said to me, listen, I'm looking for a big bruiser. I'm not looking for a football player. So that was kind of hard to take for me. I mean, I'm 5'7" and 3/4 if I wear my high heels, but I'm never going to be a great height wise. So I was coming back down the road, and Alex Smith had phoned me, who I knew from Scotland under 16s, 17s, 18s, all the way kind of through the international levels, and he'd phoned me and says, listen, come up to Dingwall, I'll put you in a hotel, come up for a week, see what you think of the place, and we'll take it from there. Now, to me, that was an opportunity for me to go and play, and I thought, do you know what, I'll go up and see what it's like, and probably try to get my head around about it. Going up to, I thought I was coming up the road because I'd been at Motherwell, but they were in administration at the time and had no money. So to go to Aberdeen, so I went straight to Inverness, stayed there, and went to Dingwall and trained. And Alec gave me the opportunity, and I can always remember him saying to me, listen, you'll play the first game of the season. He's like, after that, it's up to you. He says, but I'll guarantee you'll play the first game of the season, and then you take it for there. The responsibility's yours. And that's all I really needed. Albeit I had a conversation with Parky at the time as well, because obviously I had a close relationship with him, and he was at Inverness, but I'd seen the boys at County, and I thought, do you know what, it ticks my boxes, it floats my boat, it's a good club. And I met Roy, and as soon as I met Roy and knew what the chairman wanted to do and the ambition he had, I thought, do you know what, that's something I want to do. And there was a few experienced players there, Donald, but a lot of them were the same age around about as me. I mean, you'd Don Cowie, Sean Higgins, Steve McGhee, that kind of group. Yeah. Steve McKay as well. They were all kind of my age, and I thought it's the right mix for me. It's the right time for me to go there. And Alex was trying to get players that he'd worked with before that were through the Scotland setup, like Jamie McConney, Stephen O'Donnell, David Winters, was trying to grab like a nucleus of a really young squad. And I thought that's something that excites me. And going and playing, and the responsibility was mine. So I never really looked back for that point of view. As soon as Alec had said to me, listen, we want to sign you, I thought, do you know what? It's the best option I have, and it's a good club, and it's an ambitious club. Let's do it.
I speak to Parky about that team, obviously, you know, I went there with Parky and Robbo after Alex. How good that team was, Ranks, isn't it? That was actually an exceptional footballing team at Ross County at that period.
It was. Alex had said that the players, like, gave them an experience of going playing games. We just never had the guile. Probably we were really young and really naive, and we were gaining experience year on year. And Parky and Robbo come in at a great time because we just needed led in a different way. And Robbo had that camaraderie and the way he ran the dressing room, and Parky had the know-how and the way he was about everything and knew how to deal with players, and the two of them were great together, and it really brought out the best in a lot of our youngsters anyway. And we thought we had a chance of winning the league under the two, and they really got us believing, and I think the full of the club and the supporters did as well. But unfortunately for us, there was a disagreement between the management team and the hierarchy, and it caused a few problems. And then obviously Robbo left, and see, to be honest with you, at the time I was trying to convince, and a lot of the players were. I can always remember Gary McSwiggan trying to convince Parky to take the job, because we kind of thought if Parky took the job and just continued what had been started, we'd a great chance of winning the league. And unfortunately, Parky, being his loyal self, then chose to go with Robbo, and we totally understood that. But it was a great bunch and a great dressing room to be part of, and we had good pros. Yeah. Older ones like Jim Loughlin and Jim Hamilton, Davy Hanna, Alec Burke, they were good pros, but had a good way about them as well with the younger ones, and it helped us, and certainly helped us kind of pushing games when we were struggling. But losing Donald and Robbo, that was a big blow to us.
Because even then, you know, with Gardner, actually you did pretty well right the way up until the last few games with St Mirren, wasn't it? It was St Mirren that won at that. Yeah,
because Gardner came in, and Gardner was very clever in what he done, whereas he never changed anything. Yeah, he knew Parky and Robbo's strategy, he knew what they wanted to do, and he watched I think he took the 18s at the time, but his sessions were kind of similar to what we were doing. Gardner was like a sponge. What was the first team were doing, he mirrored, and it was just a case of coming in, and he kept the older pros on side. He got the young ones going. And he freshened things up and just kept it the way it was, and he got result after result after result, and you think we can still do this. But then I think the time came, Donald, where it was getting to near the end of February, maybe March time, and Gardner had been told that he wasn't getting the job full time. And at that point Gardner chose to left, so it was a wee bit upheaval, and again the players were unsettled, and that kind of put us off the path. But St Mirren deserved to win the league in the end, and it was disappointing, because, as I said, we had such a great group, and then after that, the group all get split up.
We've and we'll stick with that Ross County group of players there, John, because we've spoken about it, and I'm speaking to Stuart after I speak to yourself. That so many of you have gone on to be coaches and managers from that group. What do you think is behind that, or do you think there was, or just coincidence?
No, I think there's two people. I think Alex, because he assembled that squad and kind of knew what he wanted, and I think Donald, like Parky, because of the way he is. I mean, you talk about people in that, and I mean, Donald going to coaching, that's a certainty. He's already doing his badges. He's ready to do his pro licence. I'm doing my pro now. Steve McGarry's over in Australia. Stuart Malcolm, Stuart Taylor, they were all part of that squad, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, how, and it was I put it down to the influence that Parky had. He was so enthusiastic. He made each session enjoyable, and even at that stage, look, we were beginning to write things down that he was doing. You're thinking, I'm going to keep that, even at that early age, and it was infectious, and that really stuck with us. And I think that's why we've all kind of been led into coaching.
And going on for your own journey from Ross County, John, because that's one of the things. I think a lot of people would have taken going from Manchester United to County then, and then almost not so much. The danger would be to feel sorry for yourself. You never did that, but you kept on working all the time, didn't it? Have you always pushed yourself to be better and pushed further?
Yeah, I felt as if I had to, Donald. The one thing for me, and I think it was early, was I was told I was too small. And being told I was too small, there was nothing I could do about that. So I had to try and get the best out of everything I had, because I wasn't going to grow. And I knew that for a fact. So it was a case of what can I get better at? Can I get fitter? Can I get quicker? Can I get stronger? And it was just spending hours and hours and hours in the gym and trying to perfect things that I hadn't already. Make my obviously I was left-sided, but try to make my right side stronger. And it was just basically time. That's all I could spend. And whoever I could grab or whoever I could have by my side at that time, I was willing to. If they were willing to help me, then great. And I can remember going back out in the afternoons with Donald. Wednesdays we'd always have off, but I managed to convince Parky to come in on a Wednesday and to take a session. And before you knew it, there maybe about 6 or 7 years in training a Wednesday. And one man always stands out, and it's Barry Wilson. Barry Wilson must have been the same age as I am now, 36, 37, and because Parky was putting a session on, it was like crossing, finishing, shooting and stuff. And the amount of goals I managed to get from midfield in that season because he'd helped me. And then we'd managed to convince Barry Wilson just ended up appearing on a Wednesday, and you're thinking, at 36, 37, you must be needing the rest. But he was just desperate to come in, and he kept going, and it probably added years onto Barry's career as well. And it was great to see somebody at that age coming in and being able to do extra and basically help me, because I was a young kid at the time. It was good.
Because I remember, and we've spoken about this before, it was certainly at Carly at Inverness, that a couple of seasons, I can remember you scoring some stunning goals from midfield as well.
Aye, but I mean, there's some good long range efforts, Donald, but I put that down to the Wednesdays with Parky, because maybe every second Wednesday might have been for myself, but the other Wednesday in between would be for Baz and his crossing. So I'd be trying to arrive in the box for Baz to put a cross in the box, and albeit the two were working for one another, but we were getting better ourselves, because I was able to time my run into the box, and Baz was able to get quicker at 36 with chasing my passes. But at the same time, it was beneficial for one another, and I really enjoyed it. And the goals from midfield at that point, I could see a reason why they were coming, because of the work that I was putting in. So to get something back out of the work I was putting in at that time, it was hugely beneficial. And I kept doing the Wednesdays with Parky, and it was great. And then, as I said, the group began to grow and grow, and you get, rather than playing golf on a Wednesday, maybe with 4 or 5 extra in training. And it was great for my development, and it was also great for Parky probably as well, because he could mix it up rather than just giving me a session on finishing. He could throw a defender in, or throw a winger into cross as well. So it was great.
Yeah, superb. And then from Inverness, did you go to Hibs from Inverness?
Yeah, I went to Hibs from Inverness. So I was quite fortunate there, Donald, because what had happened was Mixu was over watching his brother Marcus at the time, and Marcus had signed by Inverness. So Marcus was playing, and I went through a spell where I was playing reasonably well and scoring quite a few goals from midfield. And Mixu had been at all of our games, obviously watching his brother. And fortunately for me, Mixu got the Hibs job, and the first thing he done was come and take me for Cali. And that was a massive step. I mean, when people say, like, I started my career at Man United, I never played for Man United. I played for the youth team and the reserve teams at Man U. So it was a step forward for me going to Ross County and playing week in, week out. And then that was the next big step for me to go to a big club in Hibs.
Great. So, and then from Hibs, it was Dundee United, John, is it?
Yeah.
Hibs,
I was there for 5 years. I was at Dundee United for Donald. That's probably, when I look back at it, that was probably the favourite. In fact, that wasn't probably, that is the favourite part of my career. I loved it. Yeah, it definitely was. I loved it at Dundee United. I just felt at home. The place, it was probably the closest to the bunch you speak about at Ross County. It was probably the closest I had to that, where everyone knew everybody, like the office staff, the groundsmen, everybody at Tannadice. And it was a great environment, and Houston done really, really well. And he speaks about it in the pro licence when he was in as well, and how he created an environment and how discipline was a big part of it. And I can see that now, looking back and thinking, wow, he did. He really installed that in the club, and I loved it at Dundee United. 5 years I was there, and it was great times, really was.
And you see on that there, John, what would you have any advice to? And, you know, because where I work and in the academies and that, and I see boys getting let go from big clubs all the time, and how they react, not initial one, is really vital. You know, how they react to going to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Your advice to someone at 17, 18, even 19 going up, moving clubs?
the thing for me, Donald, is see it when you're 17, 18, 19 and you've been released by a big club. You never played for the big club because you were in, as I said, you weren't in the first team. You were in the environment of that big club, and you were fortunate to taste it. But that doesn't give you any given right to have a career. You need to go and earn it and play men's football. And the biggest thing for me is it's hard work, and the hard work starts when you leave there. You were and say it's a Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, Dundee United, whichever one you're looking at. You were a youth team player there. The next step is this chance for you to go and start your career. And it's a case for you to go and then earn yourself a reputation. Then the responsibility lies with yourself. And I see too many these days at 17, 18, 19 when they're leaving and it's someone else's fault. Where if they look in the mirror and they put the most into they can, they'll go and get a career. And a lot of it's plastered over social media, like where they are and what they're doing because they're a big club. That doesn't need to be there. They can go and do it quietly and go and work hard silently and then get the rewards after that. And
that's great advice, John. You know, it's you competing with yourself or you competing to be the best you can be. Even though, and what we're not saying, isn't it, is if someone's released, to start off, it feels rubbish. But it's how you deal with it, isn't it? It's how you deal with that.
Yeah, and sometimes the clubs are doing it for your in your favour. Like I look at my own situation, Donald, when I was let go at Man United. Alex could have kept me, or the club could have kept me and let me lose another year in my career with just playing and making up numbers in training and having training games. But for my benefit, they let me go and play games, and it's success for clubs as well, because like the academies up here, if they can get a player to go and play 100 games in the Championship by the time they're 19, that's success for that club, because they've seen a player come through their academy from the age of 8 to 17, developed really, really well, and it's just not been that, maybe their pathway's been blocked with players in front of them, and it's been an opportunity for them to go and play games. And a lot of people look at it as a negative. You just need to look at everything, no matter what it is, as a positive, and it's a testing time for you. That's brilliant. Again, brilliant advice. And certainly, since I've known you as well, I know you were doing that before. We joke about your habits, John, how you develop these habits. So where did that start? Believe it or not, Donald, it started at Man United. It did. So what happened was I went down there and everybody gets given a job. So my job was, I was in charge of first team fluids. So whatever drinks, whatever protein shake, whatever they needed made up, I had to make it up. So there was obviously 20, 30 drinks to be made for training and after training and everything else. So a man called Trevor Lee was the diet, he was head of diet and nutrition at the time. So he was the one that would pinch your body with the thing and tell you how calipers and tell you how high or low you were. So I can always remember Roy Keane was like 4% or 4.6%, and I thought, I want to be that low because he's the best. He was the lowest. I want to be that low. So then I get speaking to Trevor, and it was about how you could go with how much glucose you put in the drinks and how much protein you done this and how much and I thought, do you know what? I'm really interested in that. So it became a habit. So then it became, right, I'm not having a McDonald's until the end of the season. So that continued throughout my career. And then I moved to Ross County and I moved in with Stephen McGhee and Sean Higgins, and McGhee loved his tea. So every night I would have a cup of tea, and then I thought, I was having Jaffa cakes with my tea, and I thought, I need to come off with that. So then I changed to 1 cup of tea a week. And then I would have, like, the cup of tea would be after the game. And then I changed to no carbs through the week. Carbs would just be on a Friday when I went to what do you call it, Inverness. And then when I went to Hibs, I thought, do you know what, I need to do something different. So then my habit at Hibs was there would be it would be a 5k. I would have to do 5 kilometres every Wednesday when I was off. So it was just a habit I got everywhere else I went. And I just slowly picked them up. So that the one I've picked up now is obviously we're on lockdown, so I live in Cumbernauld, so there's a golf course just at the back of me. So I'm running every morning, I'm running for the tee to the hole, and I go to the second hole. So I'm doing that now. So that's the one but God knows when I'll need to stop that, because if we go back to work, I'm not going to be able to run 18 holes at a golf course as well as work. So I'll need to change that up. But I just pick the habits up, and the habits stay. And I cannot shake. I don't know if
it's exceptional, Ranks. It's great because you're building one good habit, then another. It's just
I build it, but sometimes, Donald, at some point, I think the habits will overlap. I won't have enough time in the day to do them all. So I'll need to then prioritise which is the most important to me and which isn't.
Yeah. And it is interesting because I was speaking to Stevie McGhee, a couple of weeks ago, and he was laughing because he was saying to me about, when you were staying in the house and talking about and how disciplined you were and you wouldn't eat after 7 o'clock. That must be one of it.
That was what I was one. I think that was at Ross County, and then Ross County was I wouldn't eat after 7, and then the tea thing was with Donald, and then I was fishing a Thursday for a while. I'd only fishing a Thursday, so it was. But my Gary used to call me the cupboard muncher. He's like, when we turn our back, you're in the cupboard. But I wasn't. But you way that drove me even further because he kind of knew how to press my buttons, and because he was a bit of pride there, I'm like, no. So that was good for me because he kept me out the cupboard. So I've never really been like that, but I was disciplined because he used to go, right, we're doing advert abs. So we used to watch ITV, and obviously when adverts came on, we'd be down doing abs or press ups and stuff. But there was the camaraderie in that group. They can always remember with them, Donald, they'd have a poker night, and obviously I didn't play poker and the discipline and stuff. So they used to have me making the tea. And then bringing the cakes and the biscuits through, but obviously it was like trying to tempt me. But it was a great bunch.
Brilliant. And we're laughing about it, Ranks, but it's actually gold for young players because what you did instinctively was like we're speaking about, you're building positive habits that you can control into your game, but also you're having fun when you're doing it. And most people I know would say, right, doing a few carols because I've got 3 minutes, that's no long enough. So I'll no bother doing it. That's no long enough. So you end up doing nothing.
No, I know. That's worse.
Yeah.
That's worse. No,
and I think I've said to you in the past, and is I know for a fact that you developing that habit has influenced other younger players at clubs when you were there, because people have said it to me. And that's the great ripple. That's the ripple of it.
Well, I take, see, to be honest, I try and help the kids. Obviously, I'm working at Hearts now with the 18s, and I really, really enjoy it, and you try to help them. But the ones you play with that take the habits on board to help themselves, I take great pleasure in that because you're trying to push them to their limits as well, and just even help them a wee bit is great. And if they can take any advice on it, it's ideal. But you try and help them all. But as you say, some will find an excuse not to do it. Whereas the ones that find the reason to do it, they get themselves further. That's the reason why a lot of them I know a good few that have made it to the top and done really, really well.
So if there was anything to finish with, if there was any kind of key message you would give for a young player coming through now, what would it be? Just, coming out of the youth teams, going in?
The sole thing for me would be, Donald, to look on, first and foremost, look at yourself. Don't try and blame anybody else. Look at yourself, and have you done as much as you can that day to progress the next? Because I feel so many try and blame it on others. Oh, he never done this for me, or he never done that. But if they look at themselves and think, did I do the most I can today? The answer probably more so than not would be no. And that, for me, as a coach, that's not acceptable. I want them to go away each day, listen, they're 16, 17, 18. Feeling tired's nothing at that age. If you feel tired, then you've pushed yourself to the max. And for me, the only thing they will do is feel tired. And if that's the case, then they'll get themselves to the next level. And it's no race. That's the thing. They all get caught up in this race. They need to be at the first team by the time they're 17, 18. That's no, until you're fully developed, you're not ready. So get yourself fully developed before you get there. And when you do get there, plan to stay there.
Brilliant. Work hard, give yourself all you can every day, and once you get there, stay there. So that's a great message for folks. So thanks very much, John. It's been great to speak to you, and I'll see you again soon.
The pleasure as always. Thank you. Speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.